Before we begin tonight's celebration, I do want to state the obvious. It's a little warm in here. There has been a power outage in the neighborhood. Rest assured that LG&E is on it, and we'll try to get this corrected as soon as possible. But there's a strong chance that we will go through tonight's ceremony with a little bit more warmth, but just consider it just a lot more love. So we're doing our best, and we'll get through this. So I just want to explain why there's no organ music and so forth. So anyways, it's going to be a great graduation, and you know, we're kind of LG&E guys to get this air conditioning back on. But anyways, with that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce Emily Crouch, who will offer today's invocation. Reverend Crouch.
Holy One, today we come into your presence with grateful hearts. Gratitude for all of these graduates, their families, mentors, teachers, and those who have shaped these lives. And we also come to celebrate the hard work exemplified in these students. As we come to this crossroad of graduation, we ask for your blessing. Blessing these relationships that have been formed and reformed during these years. And blessing for endings and soon-to-be new beginnings. And a blessing to celebrate this moment. Be very close to us today, O Holy One. Amen.
Margaret Lewis. Alec Moore, Tommy Stafiri, Sarah Zappone, Matty Pinto, Sophia Hetman, Danielle Jing, Zach Lyles, Aisha Singh, Meg Williams. Congratulations. Each year, the faculty selects a senior girl to receive the Susan Kelway Memorial Award. The 4 areas that are covered by this award are character, scholarship, sportsmanship, and athletics. The award this year is given to Mallory Jennings. Sands Junior Award is presented to a senior boy who has demonstrated in every capacity the high ideals of academics, sportsmanship, citizenship, and the outstanding qualities of character, leadership, and personality exemplified by this beloved alumnus. The award this year goes to Aliyah Hyper. Senior Science and Math Award is presented to 1 or more seniors in recognition of outstanding achievement, good character, and superior intellectual promise in the fields of math and science. The recipient, as selected by the faculty of the Science and Math departments, is Samir Godray. Award is given to that senior or those seniors who, in the opinion of the faculty, have in the past year shown a marked development of academic interest, concern for the school, and moral leadership. The recipients are Amina Ikram and Danielle Jean. a graduate of the class of 1979. This award goes to the senior who shows the most talent and interest in this form of prose. The award, which includes a sum of money derived from the endowed gift, is presented this year to Maddie Pinto. Memorial Award goes to the senior who best represents the qualities that Dorothy Calkin O'Brien fostered in her students by her own example. Dedication to Kentucky Country Day School, honesty, respect for others, appreciation for work well done, and humor that restores. The recipient this year is Margaret Lewis. To the senior boy and girl who, in the opinion of the faculty, best exemplify the standards, attitude, and scholarship of Kentucky Country Day School. This year's recipients are Sarah Zappone and Tommy Staffieri.
Mr. William Patrick Malloy II currently serves as Chairman and CEO of Elm Cross Senior Living. Elm Cross Senior Living operates 86 assisted and independent living and dementia care communities in 19 states, as well as 19 skilled nursing and rehabilitation centers. The company has the capacity to care for over 9,000 residents and patients. Mr. Malloy has worked in the senior housing industry since 1996. Prior to 1996, Mr. Malloy practiced law for nearly 20 years and also served as Secretary of Finance to the Governor of Kentucky. Mr. Malloy holds undergraduate and law degrees from Vanderbilt University and is licensed to practice law in New York and Kentucky. Mr. Malloy served for 8 years as a member of the Board of Trustees at Kentucky Country Day, including 3 years as its Vice Chair and 3 years as Board Chair. He is currently a member of the Vanderbilt Law School Board of Advisors and Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Bellarmine University. He also serves as the Director of Republic Bank and Trust Company. Mr. Malloy is married to Francie O. Malloy. They have 2 children, Molly and Patrick, and 3 wonderful grandsons, Whip, Duncan, and William. Both Molly and Patrick were lifers at KCD, having attended from kindergarten through 12th grade. Please join me in welcoming Mr. William Patrick Malloy II.
Thank you, Marcia. Very, very kind. I'd like to give an ad hoc award, Brad. It's the old retired chair of Board of Trustees who can't see except for his trifocals. I'd like to give an award to Vic Staffieri for turning the lights back on. Wherever my friend Victor is, I saw him come in late, so thank you, Victor. I was getting ready to use my iPhone flashlight. I can't see very well. Thank you, Brad, for the privilege of being here this evening and sharing a few moments with you. You, the class of 2014, your family members, all these wonderful teachers, trustee members, my friend Russ, and lots of loved ones. Congratulations to each of you. This is a special day. I've been away from KCD for many years, but it's a special place. It's a place that brought joy to my family on many, many occasions, and it taught me, like I heard some of you chatting about tonight, it taught me a lot of lessons from a whole host of wise individuals. So if you will indulge me for a few moments, I want to share with you what I learned at Kentucky Country Day School. And I'm a public school kid. I went a few blocks from here to Wagner High School, like Bill Crawford. And I didn't go to Kentucky Country Day School, but I learned a bunch of lessons participating in this place. And I'd like to offer up those lessons, a few of them, for you to consider as you leave here. I've always thought the term commencement has a certain irony to it. Commencement means to begin something, to find yourself at the beginning. And yet we come to these celebrations too often as celebrations of something completed or something finished. They're not endings at all. They're commencements. They really are beginnings. So for the next few moments, let me share a few thoughts with you as you enter this next chapter in your life. My KCD experience, Marche, began in the fall of 1985, when a young boy I know well named Patrick enrolled in kindergarten at Kentucky Country Day School. 3 autumns later, his younger sister Molly came here. They both were lifers. She wore the white dress, he wore the white dinner jacket, and they sat in these same pews and graduated just like you in this place. As Brad said, or Marche said, in the early 90s, it was my great privilege to begin to sit on the Board of Trustees, where I served for 8 years, with the last 3 years as board chair. So as I was preparing my remarks, it's been almost 30 years I've watched and participated in this place. I didn't come here tonight as your graduation speaker to try to tell you what the world will look like in the future. I won't make any bold predictions of what the world will be, because the truth is no one knows. The future really is completely unknowable. I'm in the healthcare business, and last week I was at a healthcare conference all week in Phoenix, and it was my great pleasure to hear a really interesting guy, a gentleman named Sir Ken Robinson. He's an English educator from the UK, and he's a futurist who now lives in Los Angeles, and he works with schools and colleges around the country, trying to rethink how we educate our children. His TED Talk, Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk, is the most watched TED Talk of all time. If you haven't looked it up on YouTube for TED Talk, you should. His fundamental thesis is that the greatest mistake that we made in American education is the stifling of human creativity. With the standardization of education, test after test, process after process, and his life's work now is to restore this sense of creativity to American education. What he preaches at bottom is to hold on to the best of your education, which is really grounded in 3 principles: creativity, courage, risk-taking, and a willingness to embrace change. In my many years of watching all these wonderful teachers at KCD and participating here, I've seen many examples of creativity, courage, and change, and I want to share with you a few of those. Most of you in these pews graduating tonight, I've calculated this, and it scares me. You'll retire sometime around 2079 or 2080. And we have no idea what the world will look like then. It's clear that we're living in really revolutionary times. Lots of generations say this, but the world fundamentally changed in 1996 when the internet exploded. It changed the world and turned learning and communication and senses of community upside down. When I was in elementary school over here at St. Matthew's Elementary, a few blocks, our family we weren't pioneers and didn't live in the woods, I'm not telling you that, but we had 4 electronic devices. We had a phone, we had a television, we had a record player, and we had a radio. It's what most middle-class families had. The world's changed. My iPhone's in my pocket right now because I won't let go of it. It's on vibrate. Hopefully it won't make noise. And in the next few years, you will wear, your parents may not know what this is, but you will wear Google Glass. Probably before the next 10 years are up, you'll put a contact lens in that's a computer that you will control with your thoughts. Scientists talk today about singularity, a world in which information technology will in fact merge with parts of the human body. Some of you will have chips implanted before you pass away that allow you to speak fluent Chinese and the French that maybe you didn't learn with Ms. Amy. So in order to live in this unknown, chaotic, and revolutionary world, I want you to hold on to 3 lessons. Be creative, be courageous, and embrace change. Be creative. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be frightened of being wrong. You've been surrounded by role models who've taught you this. You may not have always recognized it, but there have been people here who taught you that it's important to try to create. You may succeed, and it really doesn't matter if you fail. A teacher named Kate taught many of you these lessons. She taught you that you could be the cowardly lion. She taught you you could be Willy Wonka. She taught you that you could fly, that you could sing, that you could dance. So when you leave this place, take Kate with you. Sir Ken told a wonderful story last week about a friend of his in London. When she was a little girl. She's older than I am now. Her name is Gillian Lynn. Maybe you've heard of her, but I doubt it. I hadn't heard of her until he told this story. When Gillian was a young girl of 8, a long time ago in England, she was having trouble in school. Her mother took her to a specialist that thought she had learning disorders. The specialist ran a whole battery of tests on this little girl. And then the specialist told her, he said, wait here, I'm going to go back and talk to your mother. And he said, I'll turn the radio on for you before I leave the room. And so he did. And something caught his eye before he walked back to see the mother. The little girl began to dance. He stopped and he watched her, and he was mesmerized as she danced. And she danced. And she danced. He then turned to find the mother. And he said, ma'am, Jillian's not sick. She doesn't have a disorder. She's a dancer. Gillian Lynn later auditioned for the Royal Ballet in London, where she danced for many years, until she met a fellow named Andrew Lloyd Webber. And then she choreographed Cats. And then she choreographed The Phantom of the Opera. And she had a rather extraordinary career. A career that might never have blossomed had she not been taught and allowed to dance. So to those of you that have been taught to sing and dance, take Kate with you when you leave this place and hold on to creativity. So Ken told the story of a little girl who was painting in her art class. And her teacher asked her, what was she painting? And she said, a picture of God. The teacher replied, well, that's interesting, but nobody knows what God looks like. The little girl calmly replied, well, if you wait here for a moment and hold on, you will. So hold on to your creativity. The second lesson I saw here is courage. My children and I saw it in the most unexpected places here. I knew a little girl, a girl I'm frankly related to, who struggled with math. It scared her to death and intimidated her. She watched her older brother get it with relative ease. As she approached her math classes, she often found herself scared. Her father even had a yelling match with her one night in lower school because of his complete frustration with her inability to master her multiplication tables. That happened 40 years ago, and I continue to be reminded of it. And a wise man named Walt, who taught her, said, if you will come here early in the morning by yourself at 7 o'clock, I will work with you every morning until you figure this thing called calculus out. That's poor English, you English teachers, you get the point. His helping hand gave her the courage to tackle something that scared her. And his calmness and willingness to teach her one-on-one dissipated her fear. It let her find the courage to succeed. My most vivid memory of a lesson in courage was a time on the Board of Trustees, when a small group of students who were different than a lot of the other kids in their class asked to form a student group where they could share and talk and find some comfort in their differentness. And I remember well how the topic scared us adults. And I recall the quiet courage of a teacher named Jean, who said, I will sponsor this group of students and I will give them a safe place to talk. And so she did. And the fear was dissipated because of the lesson in courage that Jean taught us. I remember a young KCD student in my neighborhood, close friend of my son, a couple years older. He wanted more than anything to play varsity basketball. Samir, he sort of had some of your genetic structure, I think. and mine. I remember my son telling me how hurt his friend was every year when he was cut from the team. I remember a teacher that everyone just called coach, telling the young man instead, join the team as the manager, but keep working at your game. My son told me later that coach took the time to help the boy train on the side and continue to improve. I remember my son telling me the joy the young man experienced when finally, later in his high school career, he made the varsity team. He made the team because coach recognized his courage and was willing to go the extra mile with him. So take Walt, take Gene, and take Mark, and their courage with you when you leave this place. Finally, my closest friend in this community years ago was a teacher named Robert. He's no longer here, and most of you probably don't know him. He taught me the third lesson I learned in this place, which is not to be afraid of risk and to embrace change. Robert was an extraordinary leader and teacher, a humble guy, self-effacing. He wasn't always the most socially engaging guy, and he could be a bit gruff. But he taught me what I fundamentally believe about education. I remember when he told me this. We debate all these processes, standardized tests, and all that stuff. But my friend Robert taught me that children learn if you do three things. They learn if you love the child, if you set high expectations, and you hold them accountable. He came to me at the beginning of his 10th year here, and he said that he and his wife had a new dream. They wanted to go to a desert in our community, the west end of Louisville, and they wanted to build a new school. And with no money and very little resources, they took a giant risk. They left this safe place, and they embraced change. There's a place in eastern California, you've heard of it. It's near Nevada, state line. It's called Death Valley. It's the lowest place in North America. It's hot, it's barren, it's dusty, it's rocky, and it never, ever rains. Except in 2005, something strange happened. With the changing weather patterns in 2005, an extraordinary amount of rainfall for the first time in decades fell in Death Valley, and something happened. The valley came alive with pink and purple and white and golden wildflowers that had never been seen there before. Scientists came from all over to figure out what had happened. What they learned was that the flowers had adapted to the desert by developing seeds with coatings so thick and so waxy that they could hibernate, they could go to sleep for decades. The extraordinary amount of rain and just the right combination of sunlight and warmth caused this dead valley to suddenly be covered with flowers. I keep sending you to the web. Google Death Valley 2005. It's a pretty cool story. It's amazing what happened. Robert and his wife believed that if they had the courage to leave this place, with the right amount of love, expectations, and accountability, they could build a garden in the west end of Louisville. My own son is leaving this place, not because he doesn't love it. He does with all his heart. But he too has a dream, and he taught me a lesson about courage. I can't linger on him, so I won't. Other great teachers are leaving here this year to embrace new chapters in their life. So the third lesson I learned here is embrace change and do not be afraid to fail. I remember Russ, late in my time on the board here, we were knee-deep in a strategic planning exercise. We've done one of those weekend retreat things. And we were trying to figure out how big we wanted the school to be and how we could build a theater and lots of stuff, because Kate Center wouldn't be quiet about the theater. Again, a long time ago, John Yarmouth actually wrote the original plan on that. And at the time, the school had a motto or a slogan. I can't remember what it was. It was some Latin phrase, Brad, that honestly I don't recall. And I think it was Martha Haber, it might have been Gordon Dabney, but one of the board members suggested that we change the motto and adapt a simpler statement that reflected our mission. So we stayed there Saturday, we came back all day Sunday, and we left with this simple statement that we wanted this place to be. We wanted it to help build citizens, young people who recognize and understand that you're part of something bigger, that you're part of a community, that you're not an island. We wanted to create a community of scholars, young people who recognize that the learning here is only the beginning, And then when you get as old as me, or maybe as old as Mr. Lyman even, you have to continue to learn in order to be successful. And the third thing is, the third leg of that stool, we agreed that we would be stewards. Not only of this school and of this city, this place we live, but the world in which we live. So as you leave this place as citizens, scholars, and stewards, remember the lessons of creativity, courage, and change that you learned here. The poet and writer Anais Nin wrote, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." Take the lessons that Kate, Walt, Jean, Diane, Dexter, Mark, and Patrick taught you here and blossom. I promise you, you will create gardens in the most unexpected places. Thank you.
Pat's voice was the first voice I ever heard on the telephone from Kentucky Country Day, inviting me to be the next head of school, so I'll always remember that. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Harris to join me for the conferring of diplomas. Please hold your applause until all the diplomas have been awarded. And remember that we are in the church, so proper decorum is required. Thank you very much.
Asia Akcha, cum laude. Mariah Joyce Louise Bauer. Diana Catherine Benarns. Jessica Eloise Carson. Catherine Parker Creech. Madeline Rita de Gavea Pinto, cum laude. Bailey Nicole Gill. Alyssa Ann Grismer. Sarah Megan Grissom. Sophia Anna Hetman, cum laude. Rachel Ellen Hirsch. Megan Julia Hyman. Amina Sohail Ikram. Mallory Danielle Jennings. Danielle Wang Jing, cum laude. Tapasthi Kanamuru. Abigail Horner Cass. Charlotte Rose Langer. Margaret Elizabeth Lewis, cum laude. Haley Elizabeth Lyman. Iman Noor Mahmood. Catherine Elizabeth Manicherry. Kathleen Alexandra Marsick. Natalie Hope Merrick. Alexis Jana Montalago. Christian Ray Mulligan. Jennifer Hong Nguyen. Allison Nicole Parrish. Blair Elizabeth Paulson. Maggie Atlas Rosen. Christine Barton Semple. Aisha Singh, cum laude. Catherine Murphy Swito. Heather Lynn Todorov. Megan Renee Willinger, cum laude. Sarah Marie Zappone, cum laude. Jing Pen Bai. John Stephen Colbert. Jordan Anthony Duff. Zachary Cole Etosh. Scott Miller Friedman. Samir Yitzhak Arun Gadre cum laude. Thomas Martin Gallagher. Eli Griffin Gould. Jerome Lee Green, Jr. Matthew William Harrison. Elia Jared Hyken, cum laude. Parker Riley James. Zeming Jane. Casey Alexander Klein. William Theodore Kruger. William Joseph Lace II. Zachary Vance Lyles, cum laude. Jackson Blake Miller. Alec Christian McKenzie Moore, cum laude. Dalen LaRon Norris. Jacob Alexander Pfeiffer. John Hamilton Robards. Noam Salaka. Thomas Victor Stafiri, cum laude. Franklin Ferguson Starks IV. Jordan Anthony Talon. Yep. Scott Ryan Winkler. Samuel Young Yu. Emilio Miguel Zayas.
May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.